Welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. Today's episode is going to be about the crucial M4 SSD firmware bug. Actually, one of the very few bugs that has affected this SSD, which is otherwise regarded as very, very reliable, as well as being a top performer. This particular bug causes the drive to stop responding periodically after it's gone through 5,184 hours of on time. So we're going to show you guys how to update your firmware, crucial issue to fix within a couple days of discovering the bug, and how to tell if you need to update your drive. Now, before you flash your firmware, you will need to check and see if you actually even need to. So the way to do that is look at the back of the drive and check the firmware revision. It should be 001, 002, or 009. Once you've determined that you do need to update your firmware, you should go to www.crucial.com/support/firmware.aspx. Find the part number that corresponds to your drive. The part number will also be listed on the bottom of the drive, and download the latest firmware. So in the case of our M4 128 gig drive, we're going to be downloading firmware 0309, which is pretty much the same as 0009, except for the fix for the 5,184 hour bug. Once the download's complete, it should be quick, it's only a couple megs. All you've got to do is run the file, put a disk into your optical drive, whether it's a DVD or a CD actually doesn't matter. Select the appropriate burner and then click burn. I would also highly recommend selecting verify disk after burning, because the last thing you want is to write a corrupted firmware file to your drive due to a bad disk. Something else to note about this update is that if you're still running firmware 0002 or 0001, you're going to get a significant performance improvement, because 0309 includes all of the performance upgrades that were included with 0009. Once the disk is finished burning, just pop it back in the drive. They usually open up once they're done. And take this time to back up any sensitive files. Now, in most cases, this is a non-destructive firmware flash, and you're not going to lose any of the data that's on your boot drive. However, things can happen. Maybe the power goes out in the middle of your flash. Hey, if you've got a UPS, I would highly recommend connecting your computer to it before you even start any kind of BIOS or firmware flashes, but basically things can happen. So this is a very good time to make sure that you protect yourself from that by backing up your data to some other device. And now it is time to shut down the computer. While the system's powered down, check to make sure that your M4 SSD is plugged into either SATA port 0, 1, 2, or 3. So that is the first 4 ports on your board. Otherwise, the flash may not work. So you can check the labels either directly on the board or in your motherboard manual. Another thing to check in your motherboard manual is how to enter the boot menu for your motherboard. With ASUS motherboards, it's F8, so that's what I did here to select a boot device. I'm going to boot to my optical drive, which is going to bring me to the crucial firmware updating utility. Within a couple seconds, the firmware flashing utility opens up, and you can use this opportunity to not only flash the drive, but also to even double check what firmware is actually on the drive. So we can clearly see here, it's 0002, so all we have to do is type yes in lowercase letters, it is case sensitive, and press enter. It takes anywhere from a couple of seconds on a blank drive to up to 3 to 4 minutes on a drive that has an OS installed on it and is full of data. So this one's going to take a couple minutes. The update took about a minute, and it now says the current firmware is 0309, and it is finished, so we are ready to reset our computer, take our firmware flashing DVD, in this case it's a DVD, yours could be a CD, out of the drive, and we are ready to boot back up to the M4, so we're going to find out if our data was retained when we did the update. And we're back. So we are booted up to the desktop. Not only is our new firmware more reliable, it is also faster than the original one. Now, even if your drive has already suffered from the firmware bug, you can still update it, and it will actually fix it, and it also acts as a preventative measure. Now, there are a couple other things to consider before we wrap up here, and one is, what if you don't have a CD burner? If If you don't have a burner, you can actually request a disk from Crucial. They'll send it to you, you can use that to flash your firmware. If you don't have an optical drive at all, then you are going to have to go to the Crucial website, and they actually have instructions on there for how to do it with a USB drive as well. This was just the simplest way for me to show you guys, and covers probably 99% of computer users out there who do have optical drives. So thank you for checking out this episode of NCIX Tech Tips. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos from your favorite retailer, NCIX.com.